So now let's speak about the imperative. If the imperative is negative, such as for example, don't buy them, then we will follow the same placement as we saw before. We're going to put the POD, or the pronoun for direct object, before the verb and separate it. But if the imperative is affirmative, like when you're giving an order or an instruction, then we're going to put the POD after the verb, and it's going to make just one word with the verb. How is that? So we need to learn the structure for imperative in affirmative. So for example, we're going to have a verb, and then we're going to have the POD, the pronombre de objeto directo, and then we're going to have the rest of the sentence. So we need to speak about the verbs in Spanish. The verbs in Spanish take three forms when they are in infinitive. Verbs that end up in AR, ER, and IR. So for example, let's see three cases of these verbs. We have comprar, devolver, partir. All of these verbs, because of their endings, are in infinitive. So what we need after the verb is the POD, so the pronoun of the direct object. So in this case, we're going to be making references to apples. So we need to know what the word is, if it's singular or plural, and then the gender. So the word apple is feminine in Spanish, so it would be la manzana, right? In this case, we have two, so that would be plural. So the POD would be las, feminine and plural. So here we can see the structure for these two. We have the verb comprar, for example, buy them. Comprar, and then the POD is las for apples. So what we're gonna do is follow the structure. Remember, if the imperative is affirmative, what you want to do is to do the verb in the imperative and then add the POD in the same word. So what we're going to do is put the verb in imperative and add a tilde, like this. Compra, compra. That's the first part. Now we have to add the POD in the same word. That would be cómpralas, cómpralas. So this would be the accepted form in many Spanish-speaking countries. Cómpralas, buy them. It's just one word. In Argentina and many countries of South America, for example, we're going to do the tilde or the stressing in a different part. So that would be compralas, compralas. So here what we do is we stress the last syllable before the POD. Compralas. See the difference? Cómpralas, cómpralas, compralas, compralas. And this is because of the Italian influence, right? So when we stress words this way, it does sound more Italian. Now let's take an ER verb such as devolver, to return, and let's do the same thing. So the first thing you want to do is to put the verb into the imperative form and add the tilde, because this one has more than one syllable. So that would be devuelve, devuelve. Now you want to add the POD, devuélvelas, devuélvelas. Just one word, devuélvelas. So the Argentinian version for this would be devolvelas, devolvelas. Here we did some changing in the spelling and we added the tilde as always in the last syllable before the POD, devolvelas. Now let's do the same thing with a verb ending in IR, such as partir. Partir has different meanings, such as, for example, to leave, I'm leaving. But in this case, it has the sense of breaking something apart or cutting something up. So, for example, this would mean cut them up. So, the first thing, we're going to add the tilde and do the verb in imperative. Parte, parte. because this verb has more than one syllable. And then we are going to add the POD. Pártelas, pártelas. Cut them, parted, pártelas, pártelas. So the Argentinian version for this would be partilas, partilas. Same thing. A change in spelling, we replace the E by an I, and then we add the stress or the tilde mark in the last syllable before the POD. Partilas. So in a phrase, this would look like, for example, compra manzanas por favor. Buy some apples, please. Cómpralas en la verdulería de la esquina. Buy them in the corner. Cómpralas. Buy them. Alimenta a los perros y gatos, por favor. Please feed the dogs and the cats. Dales poca comida. Give them some food. Dales poca comida. Don't feed them a lot. Llama a tus amigos y cuéntales todo. Call your friends and tell them everything. Llámalos ahora. Call them now. So remember, this is how we work with the imperative. However, as we said before, if the imperative is negative, you don't do that. You just do the usual as we saw in the first part of the video. So, for example, if I want to say, don't call them now, I would say, no los llames ahora, with the POD before the verb and separated.